Oh, yeah. All right. Hello, everybody. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Mom. Thanks for joining, everybody. The light switch, please, on the side. Thank you. All right. Get a little ambiance in the back. Woohoo! Congrats. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm going live on Facebook Live over here, and then actually that's the camera for Facebook Live. This is the Instagram, so I'm letting people just flow in for just a moment while we let the audience flow in, and then we'll get started here in just a second. I'm kind of blocking the nice fireplace we got going here. Hopefully you'll see it a little better there. Liv Gracely, thanks for joining again. You've been here every day. MC, good to see you again, everybody. I can see everybody who's in the Instagram Live. Unfortunately, I can't see the audience in the Facebook Live, but I can see all of your comments if you're commenting. So thanks for being here, everybody. So we will get going here in just a second. Hope you enjoy your, oh, thanks. I like the fireplace too. And the little Christmas mouse we got going in the background as well. There's some poinsettias that you can see on the side in the Facebook, but unfortunately it can't make its way too much into the Instagram. But good to see everybody. Dad, hello. All right. Thank you. Yes, it is a beautiful fireplace indeed. After a few minutes, it will defrost, and then we'll see the flames pretty well. So, but I think we're good to get going. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little intro, and then we'll get into everything. So first off, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Lane Northcutt, and this is the debut release party for my debut young adult novel, The Delivery Company. Came out today officially. This is the paperback copy, and it's also available on ebook. You can get your copy on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo Books, pretty much anywhere you can buy books, it's available. So the paperback is $14.99 and the ebook is $6.99 now that it's release day. If you were one of the lucky few to get it before release day, you saved a little bit of money. So thank you, first off, to everybody who's ordered the book so far and supported me so far along the way. I wanted to say this could not have been possible without you. Also, I'm just really excited to be launching the book into the world. I've already gotten some really great reviews from ARC readers. I'll be sharing some of those thoughts from the ARC readers later on in this live. And then at the very end of this, live, we're going to do a grand prize giveaway where one lucky winner will go away with over 13 free books, including a signed copy of my book and multiple other signed paperbacks and ebooks from all the other authors involved in the 12 Days of Delivery Company. So without further ado, let's move on. I'm going to read the blurb for the book so that you know a little bit more about it if you haven't gotten the chance to read it yet. And this is the blurb for The Delivery Company. Rejects are wrong, replacements are good. In a world where the government has sought to create the ideal children, the Delivery Company was born. In a lab, they create the perfect child for families who have lost kids or cannot have them. These children come in different varieties, but are all flawless. They are known as replacements. Children born with a disability of any kind are deemed a burden on society and discarded into the wild. These children are known as the rejected. Anna was raised in the world of replacements. Styx was raised in the clan of the rejected. When Anna finds herself rejected, she must learn to trust Styx and the others within the group of the rejected. Joining forces, Anna will aid them in dismantling the very system that created them. Together, they hope to gain equality for all and bring an end to the Delivery Company. So that's the blurb. This is young adult dystopian, and it focuses primarily on two teenagers in alternating chapters. So you'll see the world through Anna's point of view, starting in chapter 1, and then Styx is chapter 2, and then they alternate from there. So also, hello and welcome to everybody who's consistently joining us through both the Facebook and the Instagram Live. I appreciate you all being here. So as we get more into this, I am going to be sharing a little bit more here and there, but I wanted to talk a little bit about you, to you about the process of self-publishing. I am self-published, which means I pretty much did everything myself as far as the writing, the marketing, the advertising, and things like that. But it means that I also reached out to professionals who were able to help me with cover design and editing and things like that. Because usually when you're traditionally published, as many of you know, they have in-house editors and cover designers and things like that. But as a self-published author, I'm able to reach out to people that I know personally, or to seek out services that I really trust and appreciate and have seen their work and love working with them. So that's what I did for this book. The wonderful cover design was done by DePaul Vera. I can't stress enough how amazing he has been throughout this process, especially with some last minute changes, some of which have never seen the light of day. But you know, I wouldn't have been able to do it without him, because I know so many people have reached out to me and been like, oh my gosh, I love the cover. I need to have it on my bookshelf. And that is 100% thanks to DePaul. And I just want to give a huge shout out to you for being there and helping with the cover art and the blurb on the back, formatting everything on the cover and the spine. I really love the spine because it includes the logo, and for the delivery company, just a little bit more minimal. So I don't know. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. For the Facebook, there it is, and Instagram. There you go. And then hey, Beamer, Aunt Tracy, everybody, it's nice to see you. Beamer, can you text Tyler and let him know that he can go to the Facebook page for my author so you can see the live? He just messaged me to ask me how to see it, so I wanted to make sure he's able to do so. But you know, the self-publishing process has been kind of interesting. I started with this book, writing it in the summer last year when I was in the middle of doing a show. I was performing in Saturday Night Fever, where I was the understudy for 3 different roles, as well as in the ensemble. And I was riding a train 4 hours round trip, 2 hours out to the theater at the Engelman out in Northport, Long Island. And then they would drive us back into the city, and I'd take the train back back to Bay Ridge. So, you know, it's been, it was a very long ride, but well worth the trip. And along the way, I would bring my computer with me on the train and just type away chapter after chapter every day. And I had a guy, Ethan, in the pit of the Engelman there. He was our guitarist for the show, and he was really interested in the idea. And I would send him chapters, and he would give me his feedback. And he was one of the first people, I think, that that was able to read anything from this book. And I want to shout out him as well for being there to give me some early feedback on some of the very first lines of the book. Also, this book is published through Amazon, but also through Ingram Spark. So the book is available through libraries, and it's available through brick and mortar stores if you want to order it that way. It's not going to necessarily be on the shelf right away, but hopefully if a lot of people request it, then they might put it on their shelf for good in a Barnes & Noble somewhere. So that would be cool. But in addition to that, you know, it's available online. I even have the first chapter up for free on Discovery at Readsy, so that people can check it out there before they buy. And I believe there's even a look now on Amazon, so you can read the first like 8 pages or so to see if it's something you're interested in. But you know, it's been quite a process. And also in writing this, I had the most amazing editor, Natalia Lee at Enchanted Ink Publishing. She has been nothing short of wonderful. Her work has just been amazing, and I definitely could not have done it without her. So huge shout out to Natalia. I've already booked a slot with her for book 2, which I'm currently drafting right now. So book 2 will be out hopefully in the late summer of 2021. So you won't have to wait too long when you read this book. While we're already doing some shout outs, I originally planned to do more shout outs at the end, but I feel like this is the right moment to do it. So I also want to shout out my friend Zach Jenkins. He's been nothing but great with me with talking a little bit of developmental stuff early on, a little bit later in this book, but more so for the future of the series. He helped with you know, as I was finishing up the final polishing on this one, and has been instrumental in helping me bounce ideas off of for the future of the series and other projects. So thank you, Zach. I have to shout out And I don't think he knows, but your name is also in the acknowledgments section. Eugene Harrell, thank you, sitting right over there. You've been nothing but supportive this entire time in both buying the book, but also just supporting along the way. So I appreciate you. And of course, nothing would be possible without my wife, Shannon, who is sitting over in the living room here near me. So, and she's also on the live in the chat, in the comment section. So, Bryn is saying, "Yay, Dr. Harrell!" So, and all family and friends, parents, thank you, everyone watching. You guys have been very supportive along the way. I appreciate you sharing everything, buying the book, calling, texting, helping share ideas. It's been great. So, you know, the community is very, very supportive, and all the authors that I've had along the way in the 12 Days of the Delivery Company event, launch event leading up to today, has been great. You know, I've gotten to meet 11 new authors and indie publishing professionals, and I've been able to share their books and stories with other people, and they've been able to do the same with my book. So, you know, it's a little bit of a give and take, cross promotion sort of event, and I've even had some messages about interviewing people moving forward. So be on the lookout. I'm thinking about potentially doing both a monthly newsletter in the new year, but also potentially doing an interview series on IGTV and then potentially Facebook Live as well, depending on how everything's going. But moving on, I'd love to just read a little bit of the book. I have a couple sections picked out just to give you an idea of Anna and Styx. Those are the two characters that you focus on mostly during this book. So again, this you know, none of this would have been possible without the people that I've mentioned in my acknowledgments and at the very front. So even the first page of text that you see that's not on the copyright page is for my wife and ideal reader, Shannon. This is chapter 1. I'm going to read a little bit of chapter 1 and a hair of chapter 2, just to give you an idea of the characters. So, chapter 1, Anna. I've imagined what it's like for 16 years. Imagine what it's like to leave this place. Imagine what it's like to have the perfect family. Today's the day. I'll open my eyes and the entire world will be different. I'll no longer be a replacement. I'll be adopted by a family. My new family. 1, 2. Anna opened her eyes and looked around at the metal chamber she called her bedroom. Empty. There was no mother, no father, no brother, no one. The room was as barren as it had been the past 16 years, except a sheet of paper. Her eyes narrowed when she spotted it lying in front of the door. A warning. What did I do? Pulling the sheets over her face, she let out a long sigh that melded into a groan. She contemplated staying in bed all day, but if she wasn't in trouble already, then she surely would be after missing a full day of classes. Flinging the sheets away from her body, she rolled to the side and off her firm mattress. Her feet couldn't escape the sheets quick enough, forcing her to fall to the floor. Thud. She caught herself with her hands. Her reflexes were quick, usually, and for that she was grateful. Not that she fell often, but when she did, she was thankful that she could rely on her hands to be there. Way to go, Anna. Almost busted your face. The one good thing you have going for you. A chill coursed through her body as she stood on the cold metal floor. She yawned so loud she laughed. Geez, I'm tired. I gotta stop staying up all night. It's not my fault. Those bombs, or whatever they are going off at night, have not made it easy to sleep. This war between us and the rejected is taking forever. Hopefully I won't be here to deal with that much longer. I could really use a break from all the action. She walked to the doorway and picked up the piece of paper, noticing it wasn't the usual paper they use for announcements or warnings. Unfolding it, she saw the black ink that sprawled across the page, handwriting she'd never seen. She read it aloud. My dearest Anna, happy birthday. I'm very sorry to miss the celebrations I'm sure will surround you today, but they have sent me away on some rather important work. I hope to return before the evening and look forward to finally seeing you at the Adoption Day ceremony. If I am unable to be there, just know that I will be thinking of you. Until tonight, she paused for a moment. Father. A smile spread across her face, a shriek of excitement escaping. A family. I'm going to have a real-life family. God! She caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror hanging opposite the doorway and noticed the bird's nest that was her hair. Hanging almost to her knees, it was difficult to manage. Most days she tried to tie it up, hoping it would stay for most of the day. That would be changing soon, though. The family got to choose the hairstyle of the children, and she couldn't wait to get her first haircut. She envisioned it being cut short, though she wasn't up to date on the trends within Deliverance. All she could hope for was that her family had a sense of style. A whiff of body odor snuck up from her armpits. "Phew, I stink," she said, then laughed, hurrying to the shower. She pressed the buttons on the waterproof panel inside the shower stall, the temperature lower than she'd like. It allowed her to turn it on and off, but unfortunately temperature was not in her control. The water flowed over her skin, waking her up. Goosebumps covered her arms, a shiver running through her. My last cold shower. My last time with terrible water pressure. My last day in the delivery company. So that's a little bit of chapter 1, gives you a little bit of an idea of Anna, and a little bit of an insight to her character. Now, Styx is quite different. He was raised within the clan of the Rejected and lives quite a different life. So this is just a hair of chapter 2, probably about a page or so. Chapter 2, Styx. Wading through the dense metal forest of broken parts, he flung pieces over his shoulder as he searched. Wires stuck out from every direction, tangled up within machines long forgotten, their sharp, rusty corners jutting into the air. He carefully avoided those. He'd been cut before and it almost killed him. The area was quiet, as it usually was in the late afternoon. Nobody wanted to be near the wall as it grew closer to dusk. With darkness came Wallers, and with Wallers, trouble. Shadows stretched over the junkyard, making his body appear more normal than usual against the dirt in front of him. He stared at the shape before him, admiring his form. His legs looked long and strong, as if he had run in his entire life. He knew it wasn't true, but he couldn't help but smile at the thought. He'd give anything to have his legs function without the aid of braces. But he couldn't continue to stare at a shadow of desire. He had things to do. He continued searching through the mountains of debris. Normally, he'd know where to find what he was looking for. However, it had been a while since he'd been able to come and organize, so too much had piled up. As the sun slowly sunk toward the wall, he thought of giving up. That was when he spotted it. Something that had been on the list for a long time, but that he'd never been able to find. A flex joint. Warmth spread throughout his body, which could have been because of the sunlight now hitting the back of his neck, but also could have been his excitement. He couldn't believe something so useful was surrounded by a pile of uselessness. He grabbed the flex joint and looked at it. Metal and plastic. The circular thing in his hand was small but mighty. It would allow his legs to fully bend, which hadn't been able to do with the braces on. Now he finally had the pair. He tossed it into the sack hanging over his shoulder and continued around the junkyard, using his staff for support. With each step, the items inside the sack playing together, iron and copper, composing a metal melody. He stumbled a few more steps, feeling pain in his knees. Styx slumped down onto an overturned refrigerator lying on the edge of the junkyard and gingerly inspected his knees. His kneecaps were red and swollen. Lying back on the fridge, he glanced up at the sky. Blue and white peeked through the green leaves of the canopy above, sunlight warming his face. He took a few deep breaths. The days weren't cold, but the scent of fall was carried on the breeze. Picturing a crackling fire with his friends gathered around it laughing made him smile. He longed for those nights. Even the thought of them soothed his mind. Crash. And that is just a glimpse into Styx and chapter 2. I have to say I really enjoy these characters, both Anna and Styx, for various reasons. There's a whole cast of characters that you'll meet in this book, both on the side of the delivery company within the facility itself, as well as in the Rejected clan in Tent City. I think that the Rejected are probably my favorite of the bunch. But Shannon is asking in the chat here, who is your favorite character? I have to say my personal favorite character is Scorcher, who is somebody you'll meet early on in the book. So, and I think that for those of you, the ARC readers who read the book early, would probably agree. I think a lot of people have reached out to me and said that Scorcher was their favorite when they read it early. So I don't know why that is. I for myself, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I see myself more as in Scorcher than I do most other characters. But yeah. So, and I also have to give another shout out. I don't want to discount. She is in the acknowledgments as well. But Bryn, you're in the chat as well. I just want to say a shout out to you for being the proofreader, one of my proofreaders before I hit the final publish button. So thank you very much for that. I also hope that those of you who got a little surprise freebie for helping out during the during the publishing process and everything for me have received your gift in the mail. If not, it will be coming shortly. The few of you who have messaged to let you know it was coming, so be on the lookout. Also, I would love to do a little, I've read from the books, and now I want to share some videos from the readers themselves, who ARC readers have sent me videos to play during the live. So without further ado, here are 3 videos of people who got to read the book early and their thoughts on the book.
Hi, I'm Cooper. I just want to say congratulations to Lane for his upcoming book. It was very fun to read. I received an advanced reader's copy in return for review, and I just was obsessed. It was very fun, fast-paced, there was amazing character development, and the whole premise of like replacements for families who don't want their child anymore is just like, wow. So I would highly recommend reading it. Get your hands on a copy of it because it was really fun, and it's nice to support local newer authors. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope you go out and buy the book.
Cooper has been really great. I really appreciated his thoughts on the book and his review on Goodreads. So and I have just a couple more here. Let me get the sound back on. Here's a video from another ARC reader.
And I've known Lane since undergrad, so for about 8 or 9 years at this point. And he sent me an advanced copy of The Delivery Company, which I was honored to receive. I am, first of all, so proud of him for even writing a book, because that's just a huge thing to take on. And second of all, it's actually really good. And I really enjoyed it. I sat down at one point and tried to just kind of pace myself, and it didn't work. I read the entire thing in 2 sittings. And it's along the lines of The Hunger Games and Divergent, but it takes on this whole other, aspect of life and how we treat people who aren't perfect in a way. And so you kind of fall in love with the characters, you feel their joy, you feel their heartbreak, and you feel their determination. And it's just really good. And I'm really proud of Lane, and you should go buy it, because I did. I'm really excited to get it.
All right. Yeah, it's been really great getting some of these videos from everyone. I have to say, it just brings a smile to my face when I get to see people who have read the book just a little bit early as ARC readers and read the reviews, and especially Molly, who I've known for many years in undergrad, and then someone else who I mentioned earlier, Bryn. She got to proofread the book, but also read it in its entirety. And here's just a little bit of a thought from Bryn.
I recently read The Delivery Company and found it really engaging. Young adult dystopian fiction is not what I typically go for. It's not my normal chosen brand of fiction. But this was really interesting, very funny. I loved the humor in the book. I loved the puns. And I loved how the characters' names related to their stories. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, so I'm going to stop talking. But you should run and get your copy of The Delivery Company. Awesome job, Lane. I couldn't put it down.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bryn. So that's just some of the reviews, some of the thoughts of our ARC readers. There were a few more that have posted reviews on Goodreads. So if you're interested in adding the book to your to-be-read list on Goodreads, feel free to do so, please. But even more importantly, after you've read the book, go review the book if you can, please. An honest review, you know what you think, so you can let other people know how you enjoyed the book. Reviews really help authors, especially in us indie authors. Amazon actually will boost our books based on our number of reviews for free. So if you enjoyed the book, please feel free to leave a review, and it will help everyone else decide to buy it. So that is some videos from our readers. I am very excited to have been launched, have this book out into the world, and I've gotten a good amount of questions so far in the 12 days of interviews with other authors, but now is the time to open up a Q&A for me. So I've seen one question already. So I'm going to answer MC's question here in just a second, but if you guys have any other questions for me, feel free to throw them in the chat. both Facebook and Instagram. I can see your messages. So throw your questions my way, and I'll answer them here in just a second. MC is asking, though your novel is unique, what artwork would you compare your novel to? Honestly, I think I would say that it is, like other people have said, similar to like Handmaid's Tale slash Mortal Engines and Hunger Games, Maze Runner, those sort of YA standards, Divergent. I definitely drew from tropes and themes that are consistent throughout the YA age group and dystopian genre. This is very much a dystopian, corrupt government, overthrow, teens join together, do things like that. So if dystopian YA is your thing, I very much think you'll enjoy the book. And as for, let's see, I have a few other questions coming in. This is great. How long did it take you to write the book? Sarah Hill wants to know. Well, book one did take a little longer because, like I said, I was in the middle of performing a full show, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, something like that. A lot of shows. So I was there a lot of hours and doing this kind of like in between travel time. But then when that finished, I had multiple drafts, which I've actually used this process to learn from. I had 4 or 5 drafts of this book before it hit the editor, which will not be happening with the next book, thankfully, because I'm going to be plotting a lot more than pantsing. So I have an outline, a detailed outline now for every book moving forward. Rather than go back and fix things, I'm going to fix them up front. So, so Sarah, I'd say it probably took about a year to write it, and then getting it edited and published and publicizing things. I think that kind of took a little bit longer because this was my first time doing it. So so it definitely took a little bit longer for book one than I think it's ever going to take for another one. Especially because I also learned about myself as a writer and my writing process, and I learned that I can do better. So I'll use that there. Eric is asking, where did the concept for the story come from? Honestly, it's one of those things that like it kind of came to me as a thought of what if. I kind of had this idea of what if the government decided that those of us who have a pre-existing condition or disability, mental illness, chronic illness, what be it, any sort of flaw, just didn't deserve to be a part of society. And then from there, I grew it to be this. I brought it out, expanded on that idea, and brought it even further and said, what if they threw us away? And what if this same society decided that they knew what was perfect and wanted to craft it themselves? And then what happens if that process then gets corrupted, as many of these do, especially in dystopian YA? And what are the ramifications? What kind of groups would rise up against them? And what kind of people would be involved in this? So those are all the questions that kind of flowed into my mind after the beginning. But the premise was all about what would happen if the government just decided that we weren't worth it. So that's really the big thing. And I have to say that that the biggest thing too for me, that I know many people know this. First off, thank you, Shannon, for writing down some of the questions as they come in, because there's a lot. So the big thing too is I have Crohn's disease, and I was diagnosed with that back in 2018, I believe it was, a year after moving to New York. But didn't really have much of a, I had a lot of pain and things like that throughout the year, but I hadn't really had many problems with it hospitalization-wise until I was performing. Actually, I was doing Saturday Night Fever, and I had an obstruction, and I had to go to the hospital for an entire week. This happened right after I'd started writing the book, and I'm doing, writing the book while I'm in the hospital a little bit here and there, but I'm trying to recover as well. And then I ended up this year, while the pandemic has been so bad for a lot of people, it's been bad for me as well. But on a personal level, I've also been in the hospital 5 times in the last 13 months due to Crohn's. 6 if you count the time that I went back within 24 hours or the same day of getting out. So which is crazy. But so yeah, I've had 3 major surgeries this year. I've tried to power through that, and I tried bringing my computer to the hospital and writing, but I don't know, those of you who are out there who also have been in the hospital multiple times for different things, you know that it's pretty impossible to write while you're in the hospital. So, or at least for me it was. So I just watched HGTV a lot, but yeah, so that also has been pretty detrimental in the time frame aspect of the book. So I hope that moving forward, I'm on a new medication. I'm doing well right now. So hopefully it continues that way, and we don't have to worry as much about things pushing me back as far as the publishing side goes, or the writing side. Dad is asking, do you have a favorite memory of anything that's happened during the writing process? I have to say, not particularly about the book. I think maybe my favorite memory is probably going to be today with the book, because it's been a lot leading up to this. I've done the 12 Days of Delivery Company event on Instagram Live, where I interviewed a different indie author, and it's been so great meeting everybody in the community and getting to learn about their process and their craft and their books, and then just building relationships with each of them, and then sharing my own story with them and everyone else. And it's been so great seeing the support throughout flow in for the book, both myself and the book, and then seeing people say that they ordered it and they can't wait to read it. And some people have already messaged me saying they're already reading the Kindle version because it launched, it released at midnight. So you know, they've already started the book, and I'm sure one of the people who messaged me earlier is probably almost finished with it by now. So that's great. I love the enthusiasm behind it. So that alone has been amazing. I do want to see if there's anybody. Let's see, where are we on the Instagram questions?
The next one is, who is your biggest inspiration when you write?
Who is my biggest inspiration when I write? Gosh, I don't know. Who am I writing for? Would be Shannon, I would say, ideally. She's the ideal reader. Honestly, she reads YA, nothing but YA. So I know that if she likes the book, then she's gonna love it. I mean, if she likes the book, then everyone else who reads primarily YA should like it as well. And I have to say that also we go on long walks often, Shannon and I, and it's really great sometimes, because sometimes those long walks are nothing to do with the book, and sometimes we get talking and she has great ideas. We bounce things off of each other, and you know, we've had many epiphanies throughout our walks that I've turned into plot points and characters and things. So she's definitely been instrumental in that, and I'd say she's an inspiration for sure. But not necessarily for the characters, but for my writing. Another question, Wyatt is asking, what have been some of the biggest challenges of self-publishing? Wyatt, honestly, I think some of the biggest hurdles in self-publishing are learning the market, primarily how to advertise and market your own book without the help of really anybody else. That, and also formatting yourself and really learning the whole process of getting the book into the proper channels to get it out to everybody, and looking professional while doing it. You know, it's very easy to write a book that's no good and publish it on KDP ebooks and just say, published, done, don't care about the quality. I think you could literally write, I'm not sure if this is true, but I would almost bet you could write the word "the" on a Word doc and publish it under KDP and you'd be done. But I think the hardest part is getting everything professional and keeping it that way throughout the process, and choosing the right people to help too is somewhat difficult. But I know that I'm 100% sure that I have made the right decision in my editor and my cover designer and my support system along the way, who has helped make this book possible. So that's definitely the biggest hurdle, I'd say, as far as publishing. But also, I have to add, hospitalizations definitely are a biggest challenge during the process. Like I said, I've had 3 major surgeries, A couple of those, one of those actually led to pneumonia. So I was in the hospital for 10 straight days for that one. So definitely a little hard to get things going again when you have to lay in a hospital bed for multiple days on end without your writing. So, but it's good inspiration for the future. So there's also that. Shannon, another Instagram question.
Yes, Bren asked, did you plan to write a series when you started? How did that change or determine what you put into the delivery code and what you left for the future? And that goes along with Kyla's question about, you mentioned 2 books. Will there be more in the series?
Yes. Okay. So to hit Kyla's question first, I did mention 2 books because this is part of the trilogy. This is book one of 3. So there will be an entire delivery company series. I've already, like I said, draft book 2. I'm in the outlining process. I'm probably about 30% or so through the outline as of right now. And it's only been less right now, I think, because I've been focused so much on this launch event. But by the end of this month, I'll have the full fleshed out outline, which means I can start writing the book by hopefully January, probably January 4th. Give me a few days to get back and get into the groove of things. But yeah, no, book two is gonna be flying, I think, because I know the trajectory, I know the characters, I know the story, and I know the world. It's just a matter of getting them into the action right away. So yes, this is a trilogy. This is book 1 of 3. Sorry, I forget the other part of Bryn's question.
The other part of Bren's was, how did that change or determine what you put into the delivery code or what you left out for the future?
Oh, okay, yes. So obviously with every trilogy or series, you want to make sure that your readers know a lot of information, but not necessarily everything right away, right? Because this is book 1, you don't want to spoil anything. So book 1 actually was primarily world building for me. It was getting you into the world, letting you know the characters, the delivery company as a facility, and the evil behind it. And just let you in on what these characters are facing and who they are and the problems that are in the world. And moving forward, I'm really excited about book 2 because book 2 is going to delve even more into the characters and their predicaments and the issues that they face, both mentally, physically, and then also externally as well, because they have the delivery company is not a small thing to destroy. So. It is definitely an interesting series, and these characters are going places and doing things that are kind of dangerous and ultimately problematic, probably for some of them. So, I'm very interested in sharing that with you. But yeah, it's been quite a process, and I'm very excited about the trilogy as a whole. I'm very excited for the arc, the story, and things that I've foreshadowed, even some in book 1. They might be very subtle right now, but I think, some readers will pick up on it as they get through book 2. Ryan's asking, where did you start? Where did you draw inspiration for your characters? That's a good question, actually. I think that the characters kind of started with ideas of people that I have met or know, or from myself in a way. Very much not anyone directly. Nobody. I can't think of any character that is directly related to somebody in the real life. But I thought about problems that we face as people, and then those of us in the medical community and chronic illnesses and such, and I wanted to make sure that I had that representation in the book, and true representation. So everybody who's been on the live in the last few days knows that I have reached out to people in the community with both mental and physical illnesses and disabilities and such. And I've had sensitivity readers go through the book, and I've had people really make sure that I'm representing truly, because I don't want to misrepresent anyone. Granted, not everybody will be living the same life as the characters, because this is fiction, and their problems may be different, but that's also true in real life. I have Crohn's, but so do hundreds of thousands of other people, maybe millions. And the thing is, not everybody's the same. That's why we have different medications. That's why we have different treatments and different levels of severity. So I think I do that pretty well in the book. And I'm very proud of the representation that I have in the book, and the research that I've done behind it. I've read multiple medical journals as well as articles. as well as firsthand blogs of people who have certain illnesses or disabilities. And I try to humanize everyone and make sure that it's not, the book, make no mistake, these characters are not hindered. I don't focus on the disability is not the character, the person is, you know, they just have an issue that they're dealing with. And I've said this multiple times throughout the last 11 days, I think, but I think it's a very important thing to state again in my release live, is that just because somebody is differently able just means they're able to do things differently. You know, it's not they can't do things. And I think that's an important thing to know. And it's something that I drive home with the character development and the plot structure and everything. So book 2 will showcase this even more. And this is also about found family, which I think is a very important aspect of the book. Alternative family lifestyles. This is not standard, you know, family thing. So this book, much like, you know, life, is about the people you surround yourself with in your community and be it blood or otherwise. And I think this book really hits on that as well. Shannon, what other Instagram questions do we have?
Yes. So author Marita, she's asked a couple of questions and they kind of go together.
Cool.
So how did you get into writing and what are your goals for the future?
I love that question. Thank you so much for that. So how I got into writing and my goals for the future. First off, I'll start with, I got into writing very early on, but not professionally, obviously. This is my debut novel as far as publishing goes, but I remember as early as maybe late or elementary school, early middle school, there was a project where we had to write a book, a children's book, and illustrated it myself and everything. And I would share the title and the story, but I actually think I'm going to be publishing that in the near future. So I'm very excited about that. A true children's book, and it deals with monkeys and other animals, and you know, it's something that I think it's got a good storyline, but it's also short, so it's fun. And I remember creating that book in middle school, and it was a hardcover and everything. I was so proud of it. And I'm not a great artist, visual artist by any means. I can't draw, but I was very happy to get to draw it myself in there. And I remember early on, that's where I think I started with it. I also loved writing short stories in middle school. I used to write a lot of them, and I still have a few of them printed off actually from that time frame. Granted, they're not great compared to now at all, but they were definitely some early work that I would read, and I would be like, wow, I'm glad I did this because I learned a lot. But as far as moving forward goes, I'm very excited to say that I have high hopes for both this series, but a lot of other series. I have a whole list of notes in my phone that are either standalones or series, and I keep a detailed list of notebooks so that I lose track of all my ideas because I have a lot of them. But I know I can tell you for a fact that the Delivery Company is the first series that will be created, and that I'll finish fully before I move on to something else, because I want to give the readers what they are asking for. Because I know a lot of people are very excited about getting the trilogy as a whole. I'm hoping to publish book 2 by the end of summer of 2021, and if things go well and the process moves along a little faster than possible, it's very, very possible we can see the end of the trilogy by the end of 2021 as well. So that's a quick pace. So we'll see. But that's looking positively toward the thinking, positively toward the whole. Now on that, like I said, I hope to, in between books, while maybe it's at the editor or something, I hope to publish that children's book as well, which I hope to make a series or at least a little sort of series with different animals and such, and then other children's books perhaps. And I have some YA fantasy series in mind. I have a detective series in mind that I've already plotted a little bit of, and it's mostly fiction. I will say most of my work will be fiction. I will heavily tend toward YA. However, I do hope to publish some nonfiction books as well, including a writing book at some point. Once I feel like I have plenty to say without and to have enough experience to back that up. I don't want to be one of those people who puts out a writing book when I haven't written a book. You know what I mean? So, so yeah, I mean, I have a lot of ideas in the future. I have a lot of ideas. I constantly have ideas, both for novels, but as well as screenplays and such, and stage plays. So I'm hoping as well to rewrite a pilot episode I had out to a producer last year before the pandemic started, and I'm going to rework that and hopefully try to shop that around in the future. And I've actually had a number of people message me asking if they ever thought the delivery company would ever be a TV or a movie. And I would love to say yes. You know, if any producers were to approach me about the possibility of turning my books into a movie trilogy, similar to akin to the Hunger Games or Maze Runner or Divergent, I would absolutely consider it, and even possibly a TV show or something if it really felt like, if they felt like the story was able to survive that long like that. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of things in the pipeline. I have a very good future, I think, for the writing side of things in mind, and this is only the start. So this is chapter 1 of many chapters to come. So yeah, I think that answers that question. Is there any other Instagram questions I've missed?
There's no Facebook or Instagram questions you missed, but I have one for you. What is some advice you would give to anybody who is planning to start writing or is aspiring to be an author or publish their own book?
Oh, that's a great question. One I think I've asked every other author besides myself. So good on you for remembering that. Best advice to those looking to start publishing or just become an author in general. First bit of advice is write. You know, write. Write whatever you can, whatever you want. Don't worry about if it's good. Don't worry about who's going to like it. As long as you like it, that's good enough, at least for the first draft and at least to get started, because it's really about building your craft first and then publishing later. I'm a strong believer in that you need plenty of practice before you dive into the professional world of it. While this is my debut novel, it's definitely not the first thing I've written. I've written thousands of words that I've scrapped. I have 10,000 words of an action novel I thought I was working on way back a few years ago and scrapped that right away. I have drafts of other plays and books and all sorts of things that I've worked on that I've scrapped. So, you know, you learn from these things, but in the future they're helpful. So, but if you have an idea, run with it. Run as far as you can with it. If you're inspired by yourself, do it. And if there's other people that inspire you, run to them. Also, reach out to the indie author community, both here on Instagram and on Facebook and just blogs. There's so many articles out there, good articles, and other indie authors that are out there to help you. This is not something you have to do alone. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to help and are excited to do so. So, you know, it's really about trusting yourself and allowing yourself to learn throughout the process, but also learn, you know, get out there, do these things, go to writing conferences if you can, go join a Facebook group, be inspired by other authors because they will be inspired by you. And I think that's an inspiring thing in itself. Ryan is asking, who is an author who has inspired you to take on writing a novel? You know, I don't know. That's a tough one. I would say that Stephen King has been instrumental in my writing and reading. I really love reading Stephen King. But I also really enjoy, as far as the indie side of things, I also would love to shout out Hugh Howley for writing Wool. Wool started off as a self-published book. I think it's been since traditionally published, but that work is really great. And it just, he was I think he's one of the first that I know of as far as the mainstream fiction and not romance that has done that's succeeded really well. And I thought, you know, there are people who can do this. That's definitely doable. There's multiple other authors that I love to read, but I also I'm very inspired every day on Instagram by the indie authors that I follow. Everybody that I see posting their own books and their own success is every bit as inspiring as the true pros, if you will. So, you know, every one of us also, you know, don't forget that just because you're self-published doesn't mean that's a bad thing. Self-published authors are authors. We just went about it a different way. We decided to keep a lot of the creative control, and a lot of the decisions are in our hands instead of in the hands of people who aren't us. So, and I love that. Molly, sorry if you addressed this at all, but do you see yourself going back into music theater in any way? Both arts take up a lot of time, so is there a way you can balance both? Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I wrote this book in the middle of performing. I was an understudy for 3 major roles, and in the ensemble and in the hospital. I mean, I think if I could write this book during that process, I think I can write a book almost any time. Granted, it won't be as quick, but I still sing, you know, very often. I do audition self-tapes, but obviously that's not happening very much right now due to the pandemic. But I also do a lot of voiceover auditions. I have an agent where I send in auditions for multiple projects, including video games to commercials to everything else. So, and while this was all going on, I got my New York real estate license to become you know, an agent with Coldwell Banker. So, you know, is there anything I don't do? Is usually the question people ask me. So and to that is Shannon's laughing. It's an obvious no. I think the funniest thing is usually when people ask her, what's your husband do? She has to pull out a list, you know. And she's like, well, he does this. He's, you know, man, I wear many hats, and I don't intend to take any of them off. I just keep adding to them. Whether I'm crazy for that or not, I don't know. But yes, Bryn, hustler. And Dan, yeah, co-writing would be awesome. I would very much look into potentially co-writing some work. I know that I've spoken a little bit to a friend of mine about co-writing a potential fantasy series. I'm a big, I love D&D. Unfortunately, I've not been able to play it very much this time, but I've mentioned it many times throughout my lives, I think. So I think people know that by now. But I would love to write a fantasy-inspired novel taking place in a D&D world, created by either myself or a friend of mine. And I've already plotted some of that. So am I going to sing the 12 Days of Christmas for you? No, absolutely not. Sorry, Sarah. I am not doing any singing in my author videos, but I appreciate the question. I think I did miss a question above that as well.
Tyler, I think it's the original one. That one's Tyler.
Yeah.
He said, would you ever consider co-writing? Which you kind of already answered.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the Dan's comment.
Great. Yeah, so also on this, I would love to tell everybody watching that this is not the last you'll see of me as far as the live streams go and interviewing. I have been thinking, as I've done the last 12 days, how much I enjoy being on the live, answering questions and interviewing other authors and indie publishing professionals. So I think I'm going to look into structuring a more regular live stream interview process, and it's just been really fulfilling, very great to get to meet and know other authors and indie publishing people, and also just to learn more about the craft and talk more about the craft throughout this process. And I've definitely learned some things. I think they have too, and the people who watch. You know, it's been great to have you guys along for the process and for the ride as well. So as we wrap this up, I know that we're getting close to 1 o'clock. So we have a giveaway to do today. Like I said at the beginning, we do have a runner-up prize. You will be winning at least one free ebook of an author from the last 12 days, but I believe there's been a couple who have mentioned that they would love to give away an additional book. So I am giving away a runner-up prize, and then the grand prize. The grand prize will win a signed copy of my book, as well as other signed paperbacks from authors and ebooks from everyone involved in the last 12 days, and some of those who have not been involved. I do want to shout out Natalia Lee again, my editor. She has books that are included in this giveaway. She's allowing people to choose between 2 of her books. So thank you, Natalia, for that. And without further ado, I will get to the giveaway. Joy of Macro is saying, I'm not a writer, but I found your interviews really interesting. Thank you so much, Joy. It's been really great to do it, and like I said, I'm looking forward to doing it more, especially for people like you who have come very often and have enjoyed it, even though you don't necessarily write. I think it's just great to learn more about the writing community and about the authors who you read. And I know you actually won one of the books already, so and I've ordered mine, so I want to say thank you for that, and congrats on winning one of the other books. But I have the numbers for the randomization here. So runner up, let me just see real fast who that would be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. The runner up is actually the original T. Wood. Tyler, congratulations. You are the runner up winner, so you will be winning some free ebooks. At least one free ebook. I think there's multiple, but I'll have to get the information for you. And then the grand prize. Let me see who wins. All right. Well, it's somebody who has won before in the 12 days. She's been here multiple days. I'm very excited to say congratulations to Liv Gracely. You are the grand prize winner of the 12 Days of the Delivery Company. You will be receiving a signed copy of my book, as well as signed paperbacks from other authors and some ebooks. So send me your email and address, and I'll get those to all of the authors that have been participating. Like I said, congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us. Everybody who's watching and who will watch later in the, I will be posting this to the YouTube channel as well as my author channel. It will stay up on there on Facebook, but everybody, thank you so much. I'm very excited to have the Delivery Company released into the world today. And last, I want to leave you with, this would not have been possible with all of you watching and all of you at home. So thank you so much. And whenever you read my book, I would love for you to leave a little review on the retailer that you purchased the book from, as well as on Goodreads. Goodreads is really helpful for authors and helping other authors and readers to find my book if they haven't seen it anywhere else. So, so thank you, everybody. And without further ado, go buy the Delivery Company. It's available now. Thank you.